What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Rip City Rundown podcast. Another two-man episode today. No Cody once again, but we wanted to get this episode out prior to the Bucks Blazers game this Wednesday night, tomorrow, as you are watching this, because that is obviously the return of Damian Lillard. It's going to be the most hyped up game for the Blazers this entire season, and it's a game I wanted to kind of do a little preview on, and probably in the next couple of days, we'll come out with another one, maybe just recapping it, whether that's a podcast, whether that's just a straight up YouTube video. You will see some form post game thoughts of that game. Um, but yeah, it's been 2 weeks since we had our last podcast, so there's a lot to talk about. A little bit of improvement from Ayton, some more trade rumors popping up, a little lottery check-in. I'll let Wes choose where we go first. How are you doing on this fine morning? We're recording this kind of early morning today.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a change here going in the morning. We usually record late at
Late.
night. We usually record late so Cody can get on
Yeah.
since Cody's on the West Coast and we're on the East Coast. But um I'm doing good. Um I've been enjoying watching the team recently. We've kind of had a softer schedule recently, getting like Houston, San Antonio. I know we lost San Antonio, and then we played the Sixers last night with no Maxey or Embiid, which was
Hmm.
surprising to me. I guess they thought they could still win, which they probably should be still winning with that.
Yeah, I'm
But
pretty sure they were still favorites, and we were like, I want to say it was like they were 6 point favorites still that game.
um, yeah. But the boys played well last night, and you said I get to start where we go first.
Yeah, you take your
All
pick.
right. Well, I'm going to start with a guy that I want to talk about who we've definitely talked about on this podcast. And he started as like the shiny trade piece. And then he kind of lost his luster, and people were really questioning, like, are we going to trade this dude at the deadline? Which, of course, when you're a bad team like we are, of course, no one is safe right now. Like except for Scoot. Scoot and Shaden are safe. Like theoretically, this guy could get traded, but he's not
Hmm.
going to. So and that's Deandre Ayton. I'm just going to read you his past four games, starting with the overtime win against Houston, which was a fun game. I watched that whole thing.
Hmm.
So against Houston, he goes 18 and 17. Then against San Antonio, against Wembanyama, he goes 20 and 12. Against the Bulls, he goes 22 and 12. And then last night, he goes 18 and 6 against Philly. And he's just shooting the ball better, but he looks more engaged. I think if you were looking at Aiton's stock almost, I think the stock hit rock bottom when the ice.
I think, and also when he said,
I'm a max
I'm a
player.
max player, and I'm gonna like, I don't even remember the context of that quote, but that kind of rubbed some Blazer fans the wrong way.
Right. So his stock was I don't want to say an all-time low, but at least for his time in Portland, it was getting close to the yearly low. And he has bounced back dramatically, and it's been great to see. So I don't know what your thoughts on Ayton are, if unless you just want to dive in more specifically, or honestly, you give me your thoughts. What are your thoughts on DeAndre Ayton right now?
Yeah, I wrote down in my just little notes that I made just prior to the podcast on the things I wanted to talk about. Just I wrote Ayton improving question mark, and then I put his stats also last four games to round that out. It's 19 and a half points, 11.8 rebounds in the last four games. I think I obviously the last podcast when we were talking about Aiden was more on the negative side, while you were more on the positive. Wait and see. Let's give him time. This is a bad situation. You were on that side, and I think I'm starting to kind of come onto your side a little bit. I'm still not fully like it doesn't like matter what he does. You want to see this type of play. Like that's if he didn't have these four games, then I would still be fully not against him, but not having the most confidence in him, I guess I'll say. But him improving, this whole ice situation, max player, I got nothing to prove left is kind of behind us. Hopefully that was just kind of a minor speed bump. I know some of that obviously was out of his control, but that comment he made was really weird. Like, I got nothing to prove in this league. That was probably not something you should be saying
Just
after
because,
you
like,
just were
I
struggling.
think for I want to go read the whole interview slash full
Yeah.
quote because of course, media personalities can use a quote and kind of create a narrative around it. So, I mean, what he said is what he said. Like, I don't think you can be like, that's not what he meant, but
Mhm.
I'm just curious the context. But to his defense, he has been, I don't want to say he's been playing like a max player, but he's definitely playing closer to a max player than he had been.
Yeah,
I know it's only four
I
games.
definitely think he's looked a lot better. He's looks like he's just playing with more swag, for lack of a better word. He's obviously shooting the ball better, like you said. He's shooting like 65% from the field over the last 4 games. And then just overall, he's just looks more engaged. Like that's
Mhm.
kind of we know what Ayton can do when he is fully engaged. Like he can be honestly like in his sleep be a 14 and 11 player. He can put
Yeah,
Nurk's averages.
in his sleep.
He can score that and rebound that in his sleep. Nurk was averaging always like 15 and 10, 14 and 11, something like that. But when he's locked in and engaged, he can be a 20 and 12 guy consistently. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing the last couple games.
Yeah.
Um, and just the whole vibe around the Blazers has definitely been a lot better the last couple games where we won 3 out of our last 5. That road trip where we lost by 60 to the Thunder, 30 to the Timberwolves, that was disgusting. There was a lot of talk about like let's can Chauncey while we can because it was
Cam.
really bad. And we saw, I mean, 2 coaches have been fired slash let go in the last couple weeks. We saw obviously the Bucks fire Adrian Griffin, which was crazy. But I mean, we've seen things like that before with LeBron-led teams. So I guess you're just
Flat, right?
seeing,
Was
yeah,
it too
seeing
flat?
Giannis turn into a LeBron type of guy where he's just like, I always want what I want. And if you're the Bucks, you have to do that. But then we also saw the Wizards coach get fired, and I think that's more comparable to the Blazers. Um,
Yeah.
so it's Aiton's been great, obviously. I've en enjoyed watching him the last 4 games for sure. And even going back a couple games before that, he looked pretty good.
Yeah, I think the term engaged is kind of the key here because of course when we watch basketball and when y'all watch basketball, when fans in general watch basketball we just automatically assume that every player is giving 100% all the time, which is just not the case.
Hmm.
And that's just not true. I can assure you that Jordan Poole is not giving. I'm singling out Jordan Poole because it's Jordan Poole. So, not not all players' effort is equal, unfortunately. So, seeing Ayton engage and having the stats follow that up, is great. And you were saying shooting like 65%, which to me, that's great because if you can live in that range with the shot selection he takes, I mean, the dude takes a lot of like jumpers,
Yeah, like
like
you would
not
call them tough
jumpers, but
shots for a big
kind of
man.
those pick and pops at the elbow. Like if you're shooting anywhere north of 50% on like mid-rangers, I mean, you're eligible for 50, 40, 90 if you're doing it at the line and the 3-point line. So I think Ayton has been good. I think engaged is the word because I don't know if you watched the Bulls game. I
I
didn't
watched,
watch the,
yeah,
I don't know if you saw the start where he just literally spiked Kobe White's layup. Like
like I want to
spiked
see things like that.
like spiked it. It was crazy. It wasn't as good as Wendy's like spike on Ant. I don't know if you
Oh
saw
my
that one.
gosh, yeah, I
That
saw
one
that making the rounds.
that one was bad.
Speaking of
But I
ants, by
think
the way,
all sorry.
you go ahead and you finish up, but I want to quickly touch on Ant when we're done with Aiton.
Yeah. Well, to segue into Ant, I think another thing is Aiton's chemistry with the guards has gotten better. And I think he's having a nice run. Now we're gonna get into this later. I think Brogdon's a big part of that. And the team vibes are great because Brogdon's playing well.
Hmm.
And he's like actually, I think Brogdon's enjoying playing with these guys, like finally. Like he's probably like Scoot's not literally fumbling the
Scoot's
tip
not
off.
utter cheeks
It's
now.
not utter trash, but great chance Brogdon's not here by the time the
Hmm.
deadline is over. So, vibes, we'll see, but we're gonna ride him out for now because it's going well. Also, I just before we go to Ant, Kevin's not been in the booth for a minute.
Yeah, I think he has COVID. Is what I
Yes,
saw.
COVID. He's
I think.
COVID.
Well, and yeah, that's definitely been a weird.
I mean,
Weird
I
thing.
like him. I like the guy. Is it the
I don't
radio
even.
guy? Is it
I
Travis?
I I should know, but I don't know.
It's like Grant left wing three buries it.
Yeah,
Big on the Bears. All right, Simons go.
Simons. Just I don't want to say I'm confused by his play because obviously he isn't a Damian Lillard level player or elite guard, like all-star guard right now. Um, but man, he's just been up and down over the last couple of games. I mean, he had those outbreaks against Houston and San Antonio where he had, I think it was like 34, and he had that 140 and 10 game against San Antonio. But then the last two, he's had 11 points and 15 points. And in the last two games, he's 3 of 14 from three. So it's not, I don't really have a big thing other than pointing that out. Like, I don't know what
I,
to say to that.
I think what
Um,
I'd say is like, and you watched his, did you happen to watch his podcast with JJ?
yeah, I did. That was a good one.
Okay, so
I love that podcast,
one of the best ones out,
especially when there's Blazer players on there. Of course.
of course. But just hearing Ant like talk about how he communicates with Dame all the time about like what to do with this defense, like I think he's still learning. Like just because you get to 25 points a game, he's obviously because of his recent struggles. I just saw it's down to 22.8,
Yeah.
which is a little surprising because he was in the mid 20s for a while. But I think he's still learning how to be like a number one. I mean, look, Dame was an all like he sent a team home in the playoffs in 2014, and 4 years later in 2018, he doesn't know what to do in a trap at half court in the playoffs. So like it's not you're not going to figure it out by year 4, year 5. You're constantly learning, especially when you're the number one option. And I would have to go and look closer at these games and see what teams are doing to him, but I can guarantee you they're switching up the looks. And also, I think there is an element, I just thought of this and it could be wrong. I think there's an element of maybe doing a little showcasing for Malcolm.
I think that's very true. I will just say Anthony in December in 10 games averaged 28 points per game on 46 and 40% shooting. And then in January, he's only averaging 19 points a game on 41, 36 shooting, 37 shooting. So I also think it just comes with he comes back. Guys aren't used to seeing him. There's a half of film on him from this year. He comes back. Everyone now realizes, oh, this guy can average 27 points per game. And now
Yeah.
defenses are loading up even more on him.
Right.
Um,
And with
so,
not just to further my assumption on Brogdon possibly kind of getting more usage at this time, Brogdon's recent stats, like he's flirting with triple doubles here. Like Brogdon's usage is really high. Like we're going last night 24, 9, and 5. I mean, you're kind of there. 16, 6, and 6, 23, 9, and 7, 36 and 7. I mean, he's playing a lot with the ball in his hands, which is good, but
mhm.
you also have Jeremy who's needs his touches. I'm not that worried with Simons.
Yeah.
I would like to see again. It's just tough. I think where he's at is good for me. Um, but of course, you want to see improvement, or you just want to see every now and then that, like, just to remind yourself, oh, right, this guy's insane. Like the 40 points that he had against Houston. So,
Mhm.
you want to go? Where do you want to go next?
We can kind of talk this whole trade with Brogdon thing because we did see a trade go down for a guard, a above average guard, and that was that Terry Rozier trade where he got traded for just Kyle Lowry's salary dump and a 2027 like lottery protected first round pick. So
Garbage pick.
nothing that's a very bad pick.
Garbage.
Um, you could argue if Terry is more valuable than Brogdon. I mean, was averaging like 23 and a half points per game. He was having a very good scoring year. Obviously, Brogdon brings more to the table in the playmaking department. And a team like the Knicks, there's a reason they're probably more interested in Brogdon than they are in Terry Rozier
Hmm.
because they need a guard that they just need ball handling because I saw a stat today. They're 12 and 2 since they got OG Anunoby, but they are not good when Brunson is off the floor because they don't have that backup guard. Um, so again, we keep thinking Brogdon to the Knicks is kind of what's going to happen. And the package I saw on ESPN today when I was reading an article of like 6 trades they want to go down, it was Fournier, the 2024 first, and a second round pick, which I think is what we should expect. I don't think we should expect any young guy to be included. And even if it was like a guy like Grimes, sure you would want to pick him up because it's just more guys in the building. But also, like you said when we were kind of sharing our texts and we were talking about it, do we really need another guard? We always talk about it. We don't need a guard. We don't need a guard. And I know you're trading out a guy like Brogdon, but having four guards on the roster is already too many. We don't need to do a like for like, guard for guard, especially with Shaden coming back hopefully soon. I don't really know what's going on with Shaden, by the way. Um,
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Obviously he's injured, but
Right.
I also saw another thing that you could hold on to Brogdon until the offseason, and then his value could be even more because he'll be just a 1 year deal in the offseason. There's a lot of ways we could go. I lean trade though.
Eileen trade as well. From my research and just also thinking about the teams that could even do it, I think it comes down to I've seen four. I'm going to throw a fifth in there just because this team's doing something. So the Knicks,
Yeah.
the Knicks are probably number one. Then I would say behind them, it's like a tie between the Lakers, the Rockets, and like the Magic, I would say. Whoa, he's going crazy over there. What's going on?
Trying to plug in the computer.
Trying to plug in the computer and the webcam just went crazy. And then the last one is the Sixers, just
Sixers.
because they're gonna do something, and they need they need another guard who you can trust in the final 5 minutes of a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think another a guy who can get a bucket. How about that? I'm not saying Patrick Beverly can't, but Brogdon would be definitely a veteran who has had that playoff experience that would be beneficial to any playoff team. And honestly, I think it's going to be the Knicks, like ultimately, because the Fournier contract is whatever. You need to do
It's
that for
kind of
the
just like
cap.
the perfect package at the end of the day.
It's
Seems
just
like it's gonna be them.
and the pick is great. Pick is in the draft this year, I would assume.
Yeah, 2024.
Yeah, which it's a bad draft, but
You brought in
it's
Mike Schmitz to find some gems in the bottom of the draft, and hopefully you did that in
please,
like a guy like Repair or maybe Chris Murray. You just
please.
gotta hope that more than one team is involved. If you can get a second team and then you can get those two teams in a little bidding war, maybe that pushes the price up. And even if that just means one extra second round pick is valuable. So
Yeah,
I
it's kind of like when we just took Matisse from the Sixers for like 2 seconds.
yeah,
Matisse is going for more than 2 seconds now. It's good business. Us Blazer fans, we're used to marginally getting better. We like building around the edges. That's the Neil Olshey special.
yeah.
Neil Olshey's middle name is actually Marginal.
Hmm.
Um, so Joe Cronin is following in his footsteps, I guess. I hope he's
Neil
not.
Here's first round pick. Everett. Not Everett. Olshey. He'll just say,
Oh,
Robert Covington, you make us a lot slightly better. At two first round picks. Larry Nance, you slightly improve us. I'll throw you a first round pick. And while we're at it, let's just protect that thing until 2028 while we're at it.
yeah, that was insanely
Yeah.
dumb, but it's fine. I think Brogdon is the only guy moved. I think for maybe Matisse or Jeremy.
Yeah. The thing about Matisse is he can veto any trade right now because something in his contract, which is so weird that Matisse has like
Well,
a
it's
no trade
weird
clause.
because like
Only for the first year, I think.
if you sent him back to Philly, I don't know if he vetoes that because now you have like Nick Nurse and I think like Tease is gonna be
Yeah.
like, look, if you like actually let me shoot the ball, I'm a decent 3-point shooter.
Yeah. I
I
could
don't
see
know.
him. I think obviously that wouldn't be he would rather go to Philly than Milwaukee at this point, obviously, because he just doesn't want to play for Doc probably.
Right, exactly.
But
For
I
sure.
still think like he would probably veto to Philly just because like
He's from the
why go
Northwest.
back?
Did you
Yeah.
happen to see his the thing he did
Yes.
on Duop?
I didn't watch it, but I
I
saw it.
watched the first like 10 minutes. It's pretty good.
I used to yeah,
Really
I'm a big Matisse guy.
it's a
Matisse
good
video guy.
story. It's
Yeah.
a cool story. Yeah, again, I don't really have many thoughts when it comes to Brogdon, other than I expect him to be traded, and I expect him to be traded to one of the five teams I named. And I think for the fans and for us, if we get a first round pick and an expiring back, like that's the structure of the deal. If you
Yeah.
get an extra second, if you get an extra player, like I don't know.
With all this like expiring talk. all this like getting Brogdon off your books, getting like basically clearing $20 million right there. Already not paying a lot of guys. I mean, I guess you're still paying Grant and Ayton a lot. I'll be curious to see what our cap situation would be like this summer. Not that I'm saying we would go and sign a big free agent because that's not what we do, but just like we already don't sign guys in free agency because we're Portland, but we also have like never had free agency cap room ever since
Well,
like 2016.
I'm curious if we're gonna like try to go the cap space route and like take on like what the Thunder did and take on expirings for picks, or if we're gonna do it the bad way and do it how Washington and Detroit are doing it, where
Yeah,
you sign
hopefully
Matt
it's the
Marvin
Thunder
Bagley
one.
to a contract that he shouldn't be getting.
Um,
Anyway,
let's transition to kind of why we're recording on a Tuesday morning, and that's because we want to talk about this Blazers Bucks game, Damian Lillard's official return, our only nationally televised game of the year. Um,
oh, are you saying the Blazers Heat one got flexed out of
the
the
Blazers
press
Heat one got
conference?
flexed out. Speaking of the Heat, they were on a 7 game losing streak. Just
Wild.
saying.
It's almost if they had a all-star starting guard for their team, they could be better, but they didn't
And
want.
they're worse with Tyler Hero in the lineup.
To be fair,
That's all I
just
gotta say.
briefly, to be fair, I don't want to harp on this too much or talk about Miami because they don't deserve to be talked about here. Hami Jaquez has looked really good, so I'll
Yeah.
give them that. I'll give him credit there. He's
Hey,
looked awesome.
if you guys want Brogdon, we'll take Hami.
They went and got Terry.
Imagine the oh yeah, I'm so dumb. They just well still clearly need more help because Terry's not helping. They haven't won again. And
I think they'll figure it out. It
I
takes
think
some
they will
time.
too. They're also like notoriously like the Lakers, where it really
They
doesn't
don't.
matter what they do in the regular season. They can go make the finals as they did last year.
They're
Um,
gonna if they're the eighth seed, which they very well could be, that Boston Miami first round series,
it'll be
it'll be
wild.
cinema. It's gonna be cinema.
Bucks
All right,
Blazers, Damian
Bucks.
Lillard's return. Are you excited? Are you hyped? Are you kind of just like I kind of want this night to get over with, or like what's your emotion level of that? Have you even thought about it at all? Because I'm gonna be honest, until I saw ESPN start advertising it over the last couple days, where it's just like NBA Wednesday and it's they show the games that are playing,
And it's
never cro
Blazers.
never crossed my mind.
I'm definitely gonna be. I'm prepared to be a little like just not sad, but a bit like bittersweet, I guess is the word I would use.
Gosh, imagine the tribute video.
Yeah, and the thing is like when I watch these Milwaukee games, like and I'm watching him play, I still can't wrap my head around that he's wearing a Bucks jersey, you know?
Hmm.
It's just crazy. Like if it's just weird how the like trades work because you're like Dame's been in Portland and then the next team he plays for, it's like Milwaukee. Like when Siakam won a championship in 2019, were you like, oh, in 3 years he's gonna be playing for the Pacers? Like it's just weird how trades work. Like anyone can play anywhere, I guess. And I don't know. I'm excited for it. I'm not actually going to, but I want to bet like Dame's under points because I think he's just going to be an emotional. It's just going to be a tough one for him.
Yeah, the get-in price for this game. Do you want to guess? Right now on
Yeah.
Ticketmaster, the cheapest ticket, typically, they're like $5 to get. Uh,
Is it in the hundreds?
it's not in the hundreds.
60?
It's like $63. If you wanted to sit courtside for the game, right now you can get one courtside ticket for $3,574. If you want to sit just mid lower bowl classic seat, you're gonna have to pay $450. So this game is expensive. You gotta think it sells out. Um, but then again, like I'm sorry, even if I was living in Portland, I'm not paying $500 to go watch watch him return. But it will be an emotional night. I will be interested to see what the Blazers do. Something that just like kind of made me mad, or not mad, but like just was just like, why didn't you do this, Blazers? Did you see how like the Bucks did a promo where there's like first 10,000 people to come in and get a Dame time watch, like
Mm-hmm.
fun little watch? How did the Blazers never do something like that? Blows my mind. But it's just like the Bucks. It's cool, but it's also like I see why you're doing this. They're pulling out all the stops to keep Dame happy there. Not that he's like ever expresses displeasure, but like obviously Milwaukee wasn't at the top of his list. He really wanted to go to Miami, but Yeah, they've done a lot of like special giveaways, special like
They've
promos for
also just
Dame.
had a lot of drama
Yeah, they have.
with their coach and just
Would
the
you have
players and with
post
Perry.
yeah, post the postseason last year, obviously they fired Mike Budenholzer. If they could go back, do you think they would have not fired him and kept him? Because like basically, do you think Mike Budenholzer or Doc Rivers was a better coach?
I
Probably.
think if they could go back, I think they would have hired Nick Nurse.
Oh, yeah. Well,
But again, this is when you were saying this about Giannis, like this is what like Giannis is not going to be held accountable for this, but he kind of should be. Like he was kind of
he wanted Adrian Griffin, yeah.
right. He wanted Adrian Griffin. Probably, I don't think he wanted Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse was not his first option, and Adrian Griffin was. And then you
Maybe
just,
Nurse never wanted to go there too. You never
I don't
know.
know. I feel like if Nurse, I don't know what Nurse wanted and what he didn't want, but when you're I mean, of course, when you're the upper management of Milwaukee, you're gonna ask your superstar what his input is.
Hmm.
So, you kind of have to do your due diligence of this when you're a superstar. And it's not a great look on the players when you kind of want Adrian Griffin and then you just oust him because you don't like his scheme.
Yeah, and then there's videos of like them dancing before their game.
Yeah, that was that
First,
was that, that was
first
wild.
off, that was just a funny video because the dance looked funny. Second off, it was just like, do you see Jay Crowder in that video? What was he doing?
Dude, you know the one player in that video who I feel like is in every like funny dance video?
Thanasis?
No,
No.
campaign.
Yeah, facts. The go
Campaign.
throwback to
The Russ one.
the Russ ones, yeah.
Nah, that was sick. What are your thoughts on Dame returning?
Yeah, like I said, it honestly never really crossed my mind, but I just know come Wednesday night, there's not many games like this season where you're like, oh, I'm hyped for this game. I'm really excited. But it is a game that like I will be tuning in from start to finish, even though it's a 10 o'clock start and I got an 8:30 class the next day. I will be tuning in. I will be watching it, like I said, from start to finish. And I just know that the I honestly think that it would be almost more emotional if I was just watching it on the broadcast with Kevin and Lamar. But since it's a nationally televised game, I think that they're not gonna like go the whole sentimental Portland route. They're just gonna be like, "Ooh, it's Dame's first game back in Portland." There's not gonna be as much emotional ties. Now, the fact that it is a nationally televised game makes it feel more hyped up. Um, But once I see like the tribute video and then everyone on social media saying like, "Oh, it's so sad. Dame's first bucket in Moda Center since leaving. Oh, Dame hits another three from the same spot. He hit a three versus the Rockets. Like, we're just gonna see so much of that and standing ovations and him like waving to the crowd. I wonder if Dame gets emotional. He's not an emotional guy, so I doubt it, but
I think it, like you said, with it being a nationally televised game, I think a lot of that stuff will be kind of behind the scenes more.
mhm.
And I think, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think TNT is it TNT or is it
I think it's
ABC?
ESPN,
ESPN. ESPN, I
which
don't think
I
it
TNT so much better, by the way.
is. I don't think ESPN, like you said, is gonna really kind of get the behind the scenes like Dame and his old teammates just chatting it up.
Hmm.
I mean, you might see like in the opening like shots, you might see like Simons and Dame at midcourt or something, but
Yeah,
I don't
that'd be
know, man.
crazy.
I think in a nationally televised game, emotional Lillard, I think there's the potential. It's like the Bucks are probably gonna be favored by like 10 or 11. I think it could be a close game and Moda Center's like
That would
I'm
be
I'm
fun.
curious how the Blazers are gonna approach this. Like, are we just gonna like lay down and just make this a buddy buddy game? Are we gonna like how like people when Kobe passed, are like we're gonna honor Kobe by like playing as hard as we can and stuff like that? Like I wonder if
Mhm.
we're gonna be like, we're gonna do what Dame's mentality would do, and we're just gonna go out and try to win a game
I
again.
think it's gonna be one of those games where Chauncey's gonna play like there's those games where like he plays Scoot 20 minutes, but there's those games where he plays Brogdon 40 minutes. Like he's gonna
Yeah,
do
Grant,
everything he can to win this game.
Grant's getting 40 plus for
And I
sure.
I just can already see a Scoot on Dame moment and that gets overblown. Like maybe Scoot gets an and one on Dame and like everyone's like, oh, this is the moment. Something crazy
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, that's actually the best takeaway that we can give you guys on what to expect is there's going to be way too many just overreactions.
Yeah. I
But
just
it'll be fun because yeah, it almost is gonna. I don't know if it's like the closing of a chapter or if it's like the beginning or if we're just like it's another just page like in the book. You know what I mean?
I think it depends on how the night goes. If it's like seriously, if there's like if nothing
But
happens at all, it'll just I feel like it'll be more of like a closing chapter because it's like okay, finally we see Dame play the Blazers. It's over. But if like I'm sorry, but if Scoot goes off, and when I say go off, I mean like has like 18 points and hits a couple buckets on Dame, like as much as I'm like, oh, who cares? Like that's probably gonna stir some emotion in me. That's like, okay, this is interesting for sure.
speaking of Scoot, he had 20 in the fourth last night.
Yeah,
He had 20 in the fourth. Hit three threes. I know it's a blowout, but
yeah,
he played really well.
yeah. The final thing I want to say about the Dame thing is when you were like, yeah, they'll show him like talking to all his old buddies and stuff, but like, sure, there's some guys on the coaching staff and obviously like equipment guys and stuff that he's close with that he'll want to see, but it's really only Ant and maybe Grant because
It's Ant and
he's
Jeremy,
and
and
like I don't
it's
even want to say it's like Matisse or Sharp because Matisse played half the season. Sharp sure played the full
Chauncey.
season. Yeah, Chauncey, of course. But like player wise, I mean, there's a reason he only shouted out Ant from the team in that because there's no one on the team left that he really played with.
Well, Ant,
Um,
Ant also was like
his guy.
for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he was huge in bringing Jeremy to Portland, but
Hmm.
they were, of course, only together for what, a year?
Yeah. Just
Jeez.
weird. Feels like Grant's been here for a while. Final
Dude, if
thing,
you could go back in time when we were like 8-3 at the start of last year, or 10-3,
yeah.
wild.
We would not be talking about what we are about to talk about. And the final thing we'll talk about is a little lottery check-in. Currently, we have the fifth highest odds in the lottery for from our pick, and then the 10th highest odds from the Warriors pick. They are 5 games under 500. They just
Hey,
had one of those games where that can sink your season, where
that was
they
sick.
lose in double overtime to the Lakers. Probably game of the year so far.
That was awesome.
Draymond Green was a plus 31 in that game, and then obviously the team was minus 32 when he was off the floor. I did a little.
Okay, wait, quick question. Were you watching that game?
I was watching, yeah, once it got into like late fourth.
Okay, so did you see the Draymond foul on AD where he just clocked him?
Just slapped the
And then
piss out
like
of him.
the Lakers were like this, and Draymond was like, so funny.
Gosh, yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
He
That was
even
really funny.
tries to not be weird and he's just
He's
weird.
asking for it, dude. Like,
I
bro.
did a little sim this morning, and it dropped us to the seventh pick. Ironically, it put the Spurs back at the first pick. If that happened again, that would piss me off. But it had us taking Cody Williams at 7, which I at this point I don't know if he drops that far. And then the UConn center Donovan Clingan at 10. I will sim it right now live on the podcast one more time. And my internet's and okay, it drops us to the sixth pick and it has us taking Buzelis from the G League, and then once again Klingon from Kentucky or not from
Yeah.
UConn.
Right now, just in terms of mock draft, it's got us taking Cody Williams. You know, it's
Yeah.
Jalen Williams' brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, solid. Guess who his pro comparison is, by the way, Cody Williams.
Is it a small forward?
It is a small forward, but it's like a role playing small forward who's young and versatile on a
Jalen
really good
Williams.
team. No,
Oh,
worse than that, probably.
Jaden McDaniels.
Yes. Yes.
Nice.
We'll take that.
Yeah, that's a guy
Um,
I would definitely take. He's I've it's always been like there's this draft is so weird because there's so many overseas guys or guys from the G League. Um, and then you see a guy like Kyle Filipowski in the top 10, and you're just like, I watch him a lot. Is he really a top 10 talent? Um,
yeah, we can get into that Duke Clemson game if we want to. Anyway,
oh yeah. I
can
saw the
y'all
end
can
of
y'all
that.
smoke them? Can y'all smoke them this week?
That is the plan.
Also just on the Bleacher Report mock draft that came out 3 hours ago, 10th pick, they have us taking the Baylor center, Missy,
Um,
Yves.
yeah, I don't really know much about him.
Um,
We have two
pro
second round picks too.
pro comparison,
Pro comparison
good young
is
center.
Derek Lively,
Good young center on a really bad team. Really bad team.
Jalen Duren.
Yeah.
Take that.
It's tough because but if we pick up Cody Williams in Missy, I'll take it because you know what? They're not guards. So
Yeah, I definitely want to like it. Come this draft, we absolutely have to in one of our because I'm going to assume the Warriors pick will be
okay, yeah. I was gonna ask you this. So obviously Golden State is what, top four protected?
top four protected.
So of course the perfect scenario is we get the first pick and the Warriors end up with the fifth pick,
Yeah,
right?
that's the
That's
best
perfect.
case.
But what do you think is like the best case that's likely? Like, you know what I mean?
I think best case that's likely. I really do think it's not out of the realm of possibilities that we have the first overall pick because actually I'll say it's gonna be hard for us to get the first overall pick because we would if as long as we're just one of the three worst teams in the league, that would put us at the tied for the
Oh,
highest
it's
odds.
four.
Probably is it four or is it three? I think it might be. I was thinking four. That's why I said let me look up lottery
I think
uh
it's four
distribution.
because Houston got bounced out last year, I thought, and they were down there.
Um Okay, so top three get 14%, four gets
Okay,
12.5%,
okay, okay.
five gets 10.
All right.
But okay, in that case, I really think if we are bottom four, which is not out of the realm of possibilities, I think it's pretty guaranteed that Washington and Detroit will be worse than us. But I really think there's a scenario where San Antonio and Charlotte can pass us, even though we're 4 games ahead of them. But I do think
Charlotte,
we will pull another second half of the season
Charlotte is
tank
buns.
show.
Charlotte is buns.
Yeah, but have had LaMelo Ball miss a lot of games.
I
They
don't
did
care.
just
They're
trade Terry
buns.
though, so.
You're right.
But back to your question, best case scenario I think is like we have the third pick and the 10th pick. Like I think this is the best case we can get for the Warriors. I think realistically though, I do think the Warriors will probably make the plan. Like the teams they
I
have to
don't know,
pass is
dude.
the Jazz and the Rockets, even though they're currently 2.5 games out of the plan. It's just the Warriors, man. They just do things like this. I think they very well could make a win now move at the deadline because what is the point of bottoming out if you're the Warriors? Like you're
But
just like the Lakers and Heat. If you get in the dance, you can win it all. Like that's just it's just like that's the
who are the
thing. Like
best? Who are the best two players on the Heat?
Bam and Jimmy.
Best two players on the Lakers.
Okay, yeah, they don't have that second player, but that's what I'm saying. Like I think they could definitely go and
But
pull. They
who are they
trade
gonna
Kaminga.
trade?
Kaminga's looked great recently.
Trade Kaminga and Moody for Zach LaVine or something?
I honestly, that's a trade that I could see them making. I'm not saying it makes them better. I'm not saying it makes them a championship contender, but like in
I
their
just don't
mind,
know. They have Chris Paul on the roster.
yeah, they'll trade him, I bet.
For
Um,
who? Who wants Chris Paul now?
the
I'm just
Lakers.
saying I am a salty. I'm salty. I'm preying on the Warriors' downfall.
Oh, I am too, but I do think that their pick will probably end up in like the 13, 14. I don't think they get out of the plan because I don't they'll have to win 2 games. I just
So
don't
you'll
think they'll
think we'll
do
have a
that.
bottom lottery pick.
I think we could, yeah, have a high teens lot or low teens, whatever,
I
however
don't
you
know.
say
I'm
it.
just let me do a standings look here before we. Do you have anything else after this?
No, this is the final thing I got.
Okay. The standings watch here in the West. Golden State is the 12th team in the West right now.
Yeah, pretty
They
bummed.
are one win up, but 3 games up technically because they had that time off. So they haven't played as many games. They are one up in the win column on Memphis.
I think
Um,
that's pretty safe to say they'll stay ahead of them.
I would assume so.
Wow, yeah, they've played so many less games. That's crazy.
Um, I think I mean, I think Brooklyn, like if Golden State doesn't make the play-in, which honestly, the only team they could get is Utah because
Yeah, they're not getting the Lakers.
the Lakers are going to make the play-in. If they don't, that's wild. New Orleans and Dallas are too far, I think.
Yeah, and they're too good anyway.
So you're going to have to catch Utah.
Which
Um,
is like Utah obviously is not a juggernaut here,
are
but
you looking at the standings right now?
Yeah.
Okay, wait, don't look. I was doing this to catch the other day. I want you to guess something. Um, I think there were three teams actually. Hold on. Yeah, all right. Can you tell me the three teams in the association that has, let me make sure it's three. Yeah, that has a better road record than home record. They're
Uh,
all bad.
well, it's not the Celtics because they've lost one game at home. It's the
Two now.
Detroit Pistons.
They've lost two at home.
Oh, they lost the second one. Who'd they lose to?
They got smoked by the Clips.
Right. Yeah. So I was watching that Nuggets game.
Yeah, they were down in the fourth to New Orleans last night too.
They might have lost. I don't even know. Um,
These are all,
Pistons,
yeah, not the Pistons. They are
Blazers,
not the Blazers.
Hornets,
Close. They're identical. None of
Nets.
these teams are even in the plan.
Oh, um, the Hawks,
The Hawks, yes, 9-13 at home, 10-14 on the road.
Warriors.
Uh, no.
Okay, I didn't think so. Um,
Um, we got another East team and a West team.
did I say Spurs?
It's not the Spurs.
Grizzlies?
It is the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are 5-16 at home and they're 500 on the road. They're 13-13 on the road, which is
Wow.
really good. They played a lot of road games actually. Oh wow, they're gonna get a homestand. They're gonna catch Golden State. I'm just kidding. The last one is Washington. Who cares? Um, but I just thought that was
I did see
interesting.
the Jazz are elite at home. They're like 15-5 at home.
Yeah.
So
Look, I think, yeah, the draft isn't great, but just having, if you have two lottery picks, just kind of what that it just gives you more options, more flexibility. That's
we
what you want when you're a bad
last
team.
time last time we had multiple first round picks. We fumbled hard. 2017, traded all of them for Zach Collins. Could have
Neil, man.
gotten Bam
Neil, dude. Or D Mitch, right?
or D Mitch.
Spider.
Well, actually, we ended up trading him back into the first, I think, and we took Caleb Swan again, which obviously didn't turn out great either. Um, but let's just hope that doesn't go that way again. Um, we've got a long time until the draft. Obviously, the next big thing is the trade deadline, which is in what is the exact date of the trade deadline?
Very, very
I
soon. It's like February
feel like it's like February
7th.
8th.
So February 8th.
February 8th, so it's a week from tomorrow. It's or no, a week from Thursday. So
Yeah, I think you'll see. I don't think it'll be a ton of news this week. I think when Monday hits next week, it'll ramp up big time.
yeah, for sure.
For sure.
But that's all we got. Hope you enjoyed it. Tune back into our YouTube channel or just our podcast feed. Uh, Sometime by the end of the week, post this Blazer Bucks game, we will give a recap and review of that game. And then trade deadline will for sure have a podcast out post or pre-trade that trade deadline. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure to go follow our trivia pages if you haven't already. Go subscribe to RCR Trivia on YouTube. We're dropping YouTube videos, long form trivia there. Then, of course, follow our TikTok and Instagram reels, rcr.trivia on both of those. The links for those will be in the description. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.